All right, here we go. Testing 1, 2, 3. Salute to Knicks Nation. Wednesday night, Knicks CP from the Knicks Fan TV. Back in the saddle, back in the studio. It's been a long time. I was out in the frozen tundra of Chicago, Illinois during All-Star Weekend, but we're back because we got Knicks basketball coming up in a couple of days. We have a second half of basketball to talk about. We have a draft to look forward to, a new president, new GM, all that. We're getting right back into the drama and the thick of things. So salute to everybody in the chat. Welcome back. We miss basketball. It's been a while. You know, everybody's been kind of just sitting around bored for the last week, but it's good to be back, man. So salute to everybody. Tonight's show, we're going to talk about some of the latest news and rumors that have come about along the Knicks orange and blue wire. First off, let's start off with the All-Star game. I was out in Chi-Town for All-Star weekend. It was a great weekend, although it was quite freezing. I thought the NBA did a real good job putting on a show. I thought the city of Chicago did a real good job for the whole weekend. I've been to plenty of All-Star weekends in the past, and I thought this one was very well put together, from all the sponsors, events, to the games, to I really thought the city did a great job or the NBA did a great job of really including the community and giving back to the community this All-Star. You saw a lot of efforts, whether it's I went to a great Converse event where they had kids from the community, customizing sneakers and displaying those works out on the community. You had they brought a lot of the kids the kids to the game, put them up front and had them participating. Obviously, NBA Cares always does a great job of doing community service during All-Star Weekend as well. So I thought they did a real good job in that regard. From the game standpoint, listen, Rising Stars was our game. It was RJ's night. RJ dropped 27 points in the game, and he looked good. Obviously, it's an All-Star game. It's a game where defense is seldomly played, but I think the one thing you take away from, again, the Rising Stars Challenge is, even though it's been a long year, we still have to remind ourselves that we got a young talent here, man, in number 9 in RJ Barrett. We have a nice young talent here, again, that we have to make sure that we take care of him and groom him up right. I think he's worth a building block on this team, and again, whatever this new regime is going to be, they have to take into consideration that we have a young talent here, man. Do not ruin this kid. And so, good. Again, it was nice to see RJ getting out there and getting after it. So you had the Rising Stars. Dunk contest, I thought the dunk contest was actually pretty good. I thought the dunk contest was actually pretty good, all things considered. It's been getting fairly lackluster over the years. Obviously, it's only so much that so much creativity that these guys can display without, completely hurting themselves. But I thought this one was actually pretty good. Yes, Aaron Gordon, I did think got robbed. Hard to see, his last few dunks, including the one over Taco Fall. I thought Aaron Gordon deserved to get it, but Derrick Jones was nice, man. Derrick Jones was nice in his own right, and I couldn't fault him for winning. Again, you're coming down to judges who probably shouldn't have been judging the dunk contest, but whatever. It is what it is. It's all in good fun. And I thought the dunk contest was pretty good. Good showing, and Aaron Gordon definitely deserved to win it. The game was probably one of the best games I've remember seeing in a very long time. I remember MJ's last one. I was at MJ's last one as a member of the Bulls in '98 at MSG, and that was spectacular. I thought his last one as a member of the Wizards was great. I thought the one, I believe it was 2001, where AI and Steph really went off in the end and led the East to a comeback victory. Those are all good. This one was great. And I thought the fourth quarter, these guys really put it all on the line and really, honored Kobe's memory by going hard. Mamba mentality. Everybody was going at it, man. Nobody wanted to lose this game. You had Team Giannis come back and holding a sizable lead, and then Team LeBron comes back, closes it out, and wins it at the free throw line. So I thought all in all, it was a real good weekend, great for the community, and I thought all the players really showed out for the fans. So all in all, Great weekend. Great weekend. All right, so let's talk about some Knicks news. And I did see ESPN, gave RJ the F rating for the Rising Stars. Listen, you guys know me and ESPN. I take none of that stuff seriously. All of that is to get a rouse out of Knicks fans. And so, if you fall for the bait, that's on you, man. But to me, I look at that stuff and I just keep it pushing because I honestly don't really care. We know who RJ is for us. We know that he's a promising young rookie. And we know that he will get that respect in the long run. So don't even trip on that. Don't even stress on that. All right, on to some news. We are a couple days away from the start of the second half, and there's three major questions I think that will need to be answered going forward. Number one, when will the new president be named? We keep hearing that Leon Rose is the guy. He has yet to divest from his interests. We're now hearing that he's going to be partying it up with D Wade on his retirement parties and whatnot. So we may not hear from him for a little while. But again, when will the new president be named? We're also hearing that Allen Houston could be a name that is eligible for a promotion in this new front office. I pretty much I did think that Houston was going to be kept. Somehow, I think Dolan is loyal to Allen Houston. Hey, if you look at the job that we're doing in Westchester, that's Allen Houston's brainchild, right? Allen Houston is the general manager of the Westchester Knicks. He's got Derek Olson there as a head coach. He's got Lisa Willis there, the first African-American female coach for an NBA team or NBA affiliate. She's down there as the assistant coach. And hey, things seem to be going fairly well in Westchester. Allen Houston also recommended Mike Miller and was a part of, that contingent that brought Mike Miller onto the team. So I'm not surprised that Houston's name is being mentioned as a potential promotion. Not to say it's GM, but to promotion to the main club. Let's see. I know a lot of you guys were interested in that in terms of the GM search. A couple of you guys had called in and said, why not just promote Allen Houston? I wouldn't be averse to it. I think sometimes the fans still conflate Houston's contract that he made as a player to what he would do as a GM. I don't think we should look at it that way. What we should be looking at is, what is his vision? How does he want to put the team together? How is he going to contribute in that regard? And I would give him a chance, is what I'm saying. I would definitely give Houston a chance in the front office and see what he can do. We got to try to get Houston on the show, man. He's one of my favorite players, too. Definitely want to try to get H2O out there. Also, the coach. Who is going to be named the coach of this team? Obviously, Mike Miller is the interim coach. He still has 20-something games left to show what he can do, to pad his resume and put that in front of the new president. What is it going to be? We're hearing that he could be retained as a coach, or he could be retained in some capacity. Various reports that you hear saying that the Knicks are interested in keeping Mike Miller aboard in some capacity. You did hear when Mark Berman came on the show, he was speculating that, maybe if it's Van Gundy that's chosen for the head coaching position, maybe Mike Miller still gets retained as a defensive assistant or so on. Now, we're also hearing Tom Thibodeau, who is a client of CAA, who's Leon Rose's agency, is interested in the job and is hungry for the job. What do you guys think about Tom Thibodeau? I posed this question on Twitter and was reading some of the reactions. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of Thibs in the chat? Me personally, I'd rather either keep Miller or go Van Gundy. But some of you guys like Thibs. I mean, if we look at, let's look at pros and cons of Thibs, right? Obviously, he came up in this organization, right? We know that back in the day. Defense is his calling card, or was his calling card, and I'll get to why I say was in a second. And obviously, he's a tough, nose to the grind type of guy, no nonsense coach, and at least you would think that he's gonna really, drive these guys maybe on the negative side into the ground, but he's gonna be a no nonsense coach. He's not gonna be no damn Fizdale. Thibs is gonna hold these guys accountable. Now, Obviously, 2010 head coach of the year with the Bulls. Had a good record with the Bulls. Obviously, they couldn't get over LeBron. I don't think you can blame that on Thibs. The Heat were just the Heat. So you could also give him credit for being able to have the Bulls remain competitive even when D Rose was in and out with injury. They still had guys. Look at how he developed. He developed Jimmy Butler. Look at how Kurt Heinrich played under his coaching. Taj Gibson under his coaching. Luol Deng. Those guys are scrappy type of guys. Thibs was certainly influential in terms of their development. So the Bulls side was cool. Now you look at the Timberwolves side. Now they did make the playoffs in 2017. All right, the Timberwolves did make the playoffs in 2017. They did make the Jimmy Butler trade, but they also lost Jimmy Butler. What happened with that whole thing, and what was Thibs' role as the coach? Not only the coach, but as a front office executive. Remember, Thibs wore two hats with the Timberwolves. So where was he when all this Jimmy Butler drama was going on? A lot of people speculate that he kind of let Jimmy Butler run that whole ship into the ground, and that's what ultimately led him to being fired. Some people said that he ran the kids into the ground. And that's another thing I think the Knicks have to be cognizant of going forward is, are these guys a Thibs or Van Gundy? Yes, they're in the older generation's mind as good coaches and no-nonsense coaches, but will they relate to this generation's athlete? I think this generation's athlete, has to be treated with kid gloves. They're kids. How do they respond? Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns didn't respond too well. So that's another thing. How was he with the youth of the Timberwolves, and how would he be here? This is a rebuilding situation. Is Thibs more fit for a veteran team rather than a team that's growing? And I said the same thing about Van Gundy. So at Jack Peterson, did he learn his lesson from those stops? That's a question. Now, we also say, defense was a calling card, but if you look at it, if you look at the Timberwolves' defensive statistics during his run, they were ranked 27th, 25th, and ultimately 17th in points per 100 possessions. So they weren't exactly gangbusters on the defensive end. Now, we know Karl Anthony Towns isn't a strong defender. We know Wiggins isn't. Obviously, Butler was. Obviously, Taj was when he was there. It's a team, defense is a team effort, but they weren't exactly gangbusters while Thibs was there. So again, just certain things to look at. Certain things to look at. What were some of the issues there, and how much of it was Thibs' fault? How much of it was Thibs' fault? Something to think about. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Salute to everybody in the chat. We're going to be taking calls also, so if you guys want to get your thoughts in, definitely call me up and let's talk about it. Also on the coaching front, Jay Wright. Now, Adam Zagoria had dropped this earlier this week that the Knicks are heavily interested in Jay Wright. That was quickly downsized by various sources. Begley threw out there and others that said, not so fast. I think, the Knicks have been interested in Jay Wright over the past two coaching searches. We know that he did turn them down in 2018 when they were going after, when they ultimately got Fizz. I think if you're going to go the college route, I think Jay Wright would be great. If you're going to go to college route, I think Jay Wright would be a great pickup. Why? And I'll tell you why. I think, number one, he's running a pro-style offense. If you look at Jay Wright, if you look at what they're doing at Villanova, a lot of it is positionless basketball. You're seeing, four guards out there, everybody that can shoot, that can dribble, that can run a pick and roll. Some guys that can post up. They're running smaller lineups out there is what Villanova is doing, and they've had success at it. Obviously, he's coming off two national championships, been dominant in the Big East since they reorganized. You look at some of the players that have come from under his leadership. Obviously, Kyle Lowry. You look at Randy Foye had a run in the NBA. Look at some of the guys of recent. Jalen Brunson. You look at DiVincenzo, Archie Diacono. You have Mikal Bridges. You have Eric Pascal in Golden State. None of these guys are stars or all-stars or anything, but these guys have all come in and have been ready to play from day one. So I think that deserves some sort of consideration. I think he is solid. Moneyline Mark, I think he is solid. Even to me, I would even maybe take him over Calipari if I was going to college ranks, because he seems to get the type of players that can respond to him, and he's done, to me, he's done more with less. Now, you could argue on the flip side with Calipari, you could say, well, at Kentucky, they're more or less running an NBA factory, right? They're rotating guys in and out, damn near 1 year wonders every year. Their turnover is crazy. So, maybe that's one way you give Calipari, a leg up over Wright. But I think if you look at Wright, he does a lot with less, man. And he's got 2 national championships to show for it. But anyway, I think the thing with Jay Wright is he's making $3.5 million with Nova right now. That is basically the NBA league average salary for a coach. So for him, he's even said it. For him to leave Nova, he's got to be blown away. So I think Jay Wright is a pipe dream. Anything is possible. I still think Jay Wright is a pipe dream. He has it made right now in Nova. I mean, he's the king of Philly. They worship the ground he walks on. I actually ran into Jay Wright over the summer in Philly, just walking in the streets. Him and his wife was out to dinner. But so I don't think it's a realistic possibility, and I'm not sure what amount of money would take to get him, and I'm not sure if it'd be worth the effort. So that's Jay Wright. Let me know what you guys think about Jay Wright in the chat. And then also in the news, Oakley lost his civil case against James Dolan and MSG. Remember the incident in 2017 where unfortunately Charles Oakley was tossed out of MSG like Jazzy Jeff. And, obviously he was a black guy for the organization. He was a black guy for the fans. And I thought both sides were at fault. So Oakley ends up suing MSG and James Dolan. The judge throws out the case, basically saying that he had no grounds to do so. And in a statement by MSG and James Dolan, he says, "We thank the court for its ruling. This was an incident that no one was happy about, and maybe now there can be peace between us." So he is extending the olive branch. And I have been told by a person close to the situation that the Knicks and Oakley are working on a reunion, and this is all before Steve Stout got here. So all the media guys are talking about, oh well, maybe Steve Stout is going to help that. I have been told that they have been working on this even before that. Now let's see what this new court ruling, how that impacts things. I'm not so sure, but again, I have been told that Oakley and the Knicks were working on reconciling their differences. So let's hope that happens. Obviously, you don't want to see Oak being serenaded at Barclays and all that nonsense. He's a Knick, man. He needs to be treated as such, and hopefully they can come together. So again, my 3 questions. Number 1 is the president. Number 2 is the coach, and number 3 is the lineups. I threw this lineup out here before I went to All-Star just to get some fan reactions, because I'm curious, how does Mike Miller handle the lineups? He got a little bit snippy with Macri during the postgame when the Knicks got washed by the Wizards in terms of how he was going to manage the lineups between the youth and the vets. And Miller's coaching for his job, right? So can we expect some sort of changes to get some more infusion of youth there, get some guys some more minutes? Or is he basically going to stick with the guys that have rightfully earned it, or the guys that give him the best chance to win? I think that's the third major question. How does Mike Miller handle the starting lineups and the rotation going forward? So here's what I threw out there. I threw out this lineup and rotation for you guys to pick apart. But here's where I went. I said, let's start Frank Dotson, RJ, Randall, and Mitch. And here was my thought process behind it. I'm starting Frank not because I want to demote Peyton, but it's more so because I want Peyton on this second unit running with especially the young shooters in Kev and Iggy. I think having a more competent point guard that can get these guys in their spots, order these guys around, toughen them up a little bit. I think Peyton could be solid in terms of maybe he can get Kev off to the right track, right? I'm just looking for how they can do that within these next 20-something games, right? I obviously know that we're still looking for the point guard in the draft. I'm just saying, what can we do to make things a little bit better in the second half? So I said put Peyton on the bench running with Bullock and Taj as the vets with Kev and Iggy. I'm putting Portis on the bench. You guys know how I feel about that already. I'm saying scrap the three-point guard rotation. DSJ to the G League. I know it's a pipe dream, but we got to figure out how to get DSJ back on track. I say put him in the G League. Throw in a little ISO. Get Wooten up here on the two-way. And buy out Ellington, buy out Harkless. Now, Harkless is saying through his agent that right now they're not interested in any buyouts, but they will revisit it down the road should they be interested in playing for a contender. So, like I've been telling you guys, I don't think Harkless is here to stay. I wouldn't be if I were him. And I think the moment he gets offers, they're going to try to get him out of here so he can go actually play for something for real. But back to the starting lineup, I think I want to see RJ get a bit more usage as the primary playmaker. And I think putting him in there with Frank and Dotson can do so. I also think that, well, number one, statistically, Dotson and Frank, defensive rating, net rating, they have the highest net rating of any twosome lineup on the team with a minimum of 200 minutes. And so I'd like to see that a little bit more, as starters. I like to see Dotson and Frank out there in the starting lineup and seeing what they could do with RJ. Yeah, you're not spacing the floor tremendously, especially with Frank out there. Dotson has been inconsistent shooting the three. But yeah, I like that lineup, especially on the defensive end, to get us going. And I think it'll free up RJ to really be a playmaker and see what he can do there. And like I said, moving Peyton to the second unit to try to get Kev activated. If you're not going to send Kev to the G League, I think having him play with the best point guard on the team in Elfrid Payton, I'll see what happens. And Iggy coming up from Westchester, getting him off to a better start. And then surrounding them with a Bullock and a Taj on both ends, so your defense isn't lacking too heavy. And then again, you have some veterans in there getting these guys up. So that's my rotation. That's my rotation wish list. We'll see. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think about it. Pick it apart. Let me know if you like it, don't like it. It is what it is. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. It's been a while, man. I was so tired from All-Star, man. I had to catch up, but definitely want to come back, catch up with everybody. Salute to Wayne Peoples. What's going on? The Shells, how you feeling? Wade, how you feeling? Berserker Barrage says, Knox to the G League. I hate CP the Artist, Pipe Dream. Salute to CP the Artist. Sherwin, how you feeling? Sammy Soso says, wave all the vets. Chris Dada is on the Buddy Hield track. Oh, man, what's going on, everybody? All right, who's on the phones, man? Let's see who wants to talk some Knicks. My guy, Ron Cleveland in the building. Ron, how you feeling, man?
Man. CP, what's going on, man?
Ron, how you feeling, man?
A month, man?
Yeah, man, it's been a minute, man. What's going on?
Man, I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling great. I'm ready for the second half of the season, man. And, just hearing, I've been, of course, keeping my ear to the streets so far as with all this Knicks news, you know what I mean? And just listening to everything, man. I'll start with the obvious thing about the coaching, about who they're going to go, who they're looking at. Okay, yeah, Jay Wright. I like the idea of Jay Wright. I don't want no parts of Thibs, and I'll tell you why. What you brought out about his defense with Minnesota, that was alarming. But my thing is he got a reputation for running players in the ground, man. We don't need that. And my thing too is I want a coach whose philosophy is when you got a young team, the one thing that a young team has over an old team is they can run. And you need to do that with them. And I think that's the biggest problem that's been a long time with our Knicks, man. We've been probably in the last 5 or 6 years at least one of the worst teams when it comes to fast break.
Yeah.
We don't push the ball enough, and especially if anybody watched RJ in that game this weekend, man. RJ wanted to push the pace.
Yep.
And so you look at him, his ability to make things happen with the ball in his hand, you got to have him. If not the primary ball handler, he has to be like the second ball handler on the team. And so with that in mind, I don't want no parts of Thibs. Thibs can't coach offense. He can coach defense. And then if we go with Van Gundy, it's kind of more the same, but I think Van Gundy wouldn't run the players on the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my thing is either you get a Jay Wright, and from what I heard the same thing you said where Jay Wright said he has to be blown away. Well, how you blow away a coach, a potential hire? You give him a long-term deal. You know what I mean? They probably need to double that salary that he's getting at Villanova, and I wouldn't be opposed to giving him $6 million a season. I would not, because he's way better than what Thibs was, and look what Thibs was getting, and even Derek Fisher, he's way better than those guys. And he got championships on his resume, and just like you alluded to, all the guys that he has touched, you know, these guys came in the league and contribute. And so he would know how to deal with these younger players. Thibs, I'm afraid of. Thibs can't handle, you know, the younger players. And so on that front, I would love to see a young coach. And when it comes to our front office, I think Allen Houston would be a great hire because we've been molding that guy for the longest. Like he has been being molded to be in the front office. So you go and get Allen Houston, and the whole thing with Charles Oakley, man, I hope they get a resolution on that for real. Because Charles needs to come back in the fold in some capacity, man. They need to give him a role with the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with that, you know, that's pretty much what I got to say on the situation. And let them young dogs run, man. We got to take them boys up the kennel and let them run.
I hear you, man. Let them run. Good point, Ron. Appreciate the call, man. Appreciate the call. You know, and Ron Cleveland brought up pace. Last year we finished. This year we're 21st in pace at 98.7. Last year we finished 17th, 99.6. Year before that, which was another Fizdale year, was 15th. They finished 15th in 2017. So, sorry, that was Hornacek. They finished 15th. They finished 15th on the Hornacek, 17th in pace on Fizdale's first year, and right now they are in 21st. So, I mean, they're trending right around the same. Trending right around the same in pace. So that's obviously something that we want to pick up. And hopefully, you know, whoever the next point guard is, if we do end up with a point guard in the draft, hopefully we'll get that addressed. But yeah, as you see, man, RJ needs to be out there running and gunning. You know, right now he's not necessarily a half-court guy, especially the fact that he can't really shoot it well. So let's see what happens there. Speaking of the draft, this Sunday, I believe, or Saturday, let me confirm, we're going to have Spencer Perlman on from the Stepien. The draft coverage starts this weekend, so stay tuned. Turn on your notifications, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Very, very important, so you don't miss anything. We're going to get into the first episode of the draft series, going through a couple of the top prospects. We're going to talk LaMelo, James Wiseman, Anthony Edwards, and Cole Anthony. That'll be the first episode, so don't miss it. Look out for the announcement. We'll definitely make that announcement coming up soon. But yeah, we're going to get into that draft coverage very soon. Again, yeah, on Ron's point on the Thibs, I think, again, you have to be cognizant of your new coach in terms of how these young players will respond to him. because these guys seem like a different breed. And so I think that was part of the reason why they brought in Fizz. But maybe, as Fizz would tell you, he didn't do a good job of holding these guys accountable. So I think it's a fine balance, man. I think it's definitely a fine balance. So let's see what happens. And then on the Houston front, I would definitely I would give Houston a chance. I would definitely give Houston a chance. So let's see what happens. Zay from Maryland, what's going on, man? How you feeling, bro?
Hey, what's good? Good, man. How you feeling?
What's good, bro?
Good. Just trying to. I got 2 points. 1 point is regarding RJ. I feel like going forward, we need to focus on putting RJ in the best, situation for him to really grow.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the way New Orleans is catering to Zion is how we need to cater to RJ. They're pretty much similar in regards to how many 3-point shots have you seen Zion shoot? Not that many. Mm-hmm. Zion does a lot of his stuff, getting to the basket, cutting to the basket, things like that. And then from there, it expands his game out on the outside to where he can shoot. Mm-hmm. Similar to what RJ needs. RJ needs to be able to, I think we need to open up the floor to where RJ can strictly work on cutting to the basket, going to the basket, handling the ball. And from there, he facilitates to the shooters or, right. Then he can kind of work on the shots on the outside. Exactly. I think we've been doing a disservice kind of clogging up the paint with right. like Morris and Randall.
Well, right, and that's you just hit the nail on the head. Does RJ and Julius fit together? Can they find some cohesion that won't stymie RJ? Like, how do we get to a point where this ultimately gets transitioned over to RJ getting more usage here? Or is that even possible with Randall on the floor? I'm just not sure.
My thing is that I feel like the Knicks have a hard time picking a player and saying, hey, this is his team, everything goes through him. I don't think we've had that in the longest since Melo, pretty much. So since other than Melo, we haven't really had that. And what needs to happen is whatever coach comes in needs to say, hey, Julius, we know you like you're trying to work on your game by bringing the ball up down the court, but this is RJ's team. You will help facilitate RJ. So everything's going to go through RJ. Everyone else, we're trying to build a team around him. The problem is we keep bringing these free agents in, and no one knows whose team it is. Everyone's just out there balling. And that's the reason why we never have any type of cohesion mixed with the fact that we flip teams all the time. So that's kind of just one thing that we would need to work on. Mm-hmm. And then two, who's your take as far as the point guard? I know they said something about shooting point guards. Who would be your best point guard that we go after in free agents?
It's so hard to say because neither LaMelo, who's probably the best facilitating point guard in the draft, is not a good shooter. You have Cole Anthony, who is a scorer but inefficient. I got to see more Halliburton. Mm-hmm. I got to see more of Killian Hayes. With Halliburton, he can shoot it from three, but is he a shot creator? Is he a guy that's going to break down the defense? I don't think you're going to have a perfect fit. I don't think you're going to have a perfect fit. I think I would hope that LaMelo can improve his shooting and become more efficient. Because if you had that, I think LaMelo would be excellent. I think LaMelo would be excellent. But I got to see some more Killian Hayes for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I feel like LaMelo has the tools. LaMelo is like a project that if we worked on it right, he could be a great point guard for us. I think LaMelo just literally you need a coach that's going to be able to shape out a lot of the stuff that he lacks. Or that he has issues with, right. But I think LaMelo has the size and he has the potential that athleticism to where he would be probably the best option to me. That's just my opinion. But thanks for accepting the call.
Yeah, man, appreciate the calls. Good to hear from you, bro.
All right, take it easy.
Yes, sir.
You too.
Yeah, it's an excellent debate, man, and that's why I can't wait to get Spencer up here because we got to figure this thing out, man. We've got to figure this thing out. But yeah, as they've said, the Knicks will go big game hunting for a point guard in the draft. As we know, no surprise to anyone. And again, it's going to be who is going to be a good shooter on this team, but also who's going to be able to fit with RJ. Who's going to be able to fit with RJ in this starting lineup? Because this starting lineup is in desperate need of consistent perimeter shooting. Desperate need of consistent perimeter shooting. And you know, Alfred, he tries. Again, he's a good facilitator. On the scoring side, he just gives you nothing, and that's who he's been. We know who Elfrid Payton is. I don't think a lot of people say, yeah, well, Payton's a young guy, but I don't see Payton ever getting to that point where his offense will come around. And that's why I like him as a backup. I like him as a backup caretaker in this new phase. I would bring Payton back off the bench. I would definitely bring Payton back off the bench. So what do you guys think about LaMelo? LaMelo just won the NBL Rookie of the Year, even though they shut him down. I mean, when you're talking pure point, I don't see who's better than this in the draft. But you know, scoring wise, again, I mean, shooting wise, I'm just not. He's not there yet. But obviously, these things can change, man. These things can definitely change. Somebody in the chat said Anthony Edwards. Hey, yeah, listen, I would love to get Anthony Edwards. I would love to get Anthony Edwards. I think you still have to look at getting the best player in the draft wherever you're picking. But if it's not one where you think Anthony Edwards is gonna go, then you know you got to look at these point guards next. I think you got to look at these point guards next. So again, interesting debate, and we're gonna get into it coming up this weekend with Spencer Perlman of the Stepien. And let's see. Let me see what you guys think in the chat. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We got a super chat in here from Michael Parker, #1 fan of the show. Says salute to CP, salute to the chat. Trade Kevin Knox or Randall. LaMelo is the pick. LaMelo is the pick. Okay. So he's in it for LaMelo. Let's see who else. Pranav loves LaMelo. Joel John says LaMelo. Corrupt Killer says hell no to LaMelo. Is it skills? Is it his father? What's your reason for that? Give me a little bit more. Sammy Soso says LaMelo second option to Halliburton. T. Williams also says Halliburton over LaMelo. Who else is in here? Salute to everybody. Chris Dada says LaMelo and Buddy Hield backcourt. Interesting. You guys will make a Buddy Hield move. He could be made available if he makes enough noise. Kim Buddy. Keen says Anthony Edwards is the best player for sure. I think so. I definitely think so. Nick's Prime says not in favor of LaMelo. Yeah, you know, in terms of scoring option, are you going to go Halliburton? Are you going to go Hayes as the better scoring options? The better shooting options? I don't know. Well, let's see, man. Very curious to see how this whole thing goes down. But again, it all ties back to the new regime, the new president coming into town. And this new president is going to be sitting on, once again, 7 first-round picks in the next 4 years. A bevy of money to spend. You know, this next regime has the potential to get this thing back on track. I don't feel like we're too far off, people. I don't think we're too far off from getting back to the playoffs. I don't think we're too far off. So let's see. This guy just can't mess it up. Just don't mess it up. Leroy from Atlanta. What's going on, man? Who's your take on this point guard situation?
Hey, man. Long-time listener. Awesome. You're doing awesome work. Great job, man.
Thank you, bro.
I want to talk about the point guard situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got a little bit of insight. My cousin is the coach over Dayton, Anthony Grant.
Okay.
So I've kind of been following. I follow basketball very, 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 very closely, and I grew up with Billy Donovan, who was dropped off at my house when he was 12 years old.
Okay.
He played point guard on my brother. So
where'd your brother play point guard at? St. Agnes?
No, he was St. Agnes. Yeah, my brother was shooting guard at St. Agnes, and Billy Dolan was point guard.
That's
Billy
right.
went
That's
to
right.
Providence, and my brother went to LSU.
Oh,
Remember
that's
back in
what's up,
those
man.
days?
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Yeah. So, but I'm, you know, I'm a longtime Knicks fan. I don't care. You know, this point guard situation I want to talk about. This point guard situation. I think we're kind of in the middle of two things. One, the development of our young players, which we've done a poor job with that, developing our young players, and getting confused between that and attracting free agents. It seems like that's been the confusion with the Knicks for years. Developing the young players or attracting the free agents. And I think that what we should do systematically is work on player development more than anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if we work on player development, we're going to have a great team, and then it's going to attract the free agents, and then we'll know what type of free agents to put with our team because of what we presently have that's internally developed. What you think? You agree?
I 1,000% agree. I 1,000% agree. I haven't looked at the free agent list that much. Maybe, I think a couple shows ago I did just to kind of prove a point, but I'm not in that list to look at anything. Tommy D had mentioned Joe Harris, who I would be interested in from a shooting perspective. But, so, again, complementary pieces, man. Complementary pieces. Not trying to hit a home run in free agency right now with unrealistic pipe dreams. We need to focus on getting the house in order first.
Exactly. Now, you know, before I go to point guard, I just want to say one more thing about RJ. RJ reminds me a lot, if you remember, of a young Scottie Pippen. Size, build. Scottie wasn't a great shooter when he first came to the NBA, but his body physique, his passing ability, that's what RJ reminds me of.
And his defense, Scottie was a good defender, too.
He was a great defender, and I think RJ, through player development, can fit into a Scottie Pippen body role. His body is built. He's really a strong guy that can be a great defender, great passer, and he gets to the basket really easy. But that point guard situation, we got to make a decision on that because this is the year we got to make that decision. And I don't want to say it, but I got to say it. LaMelo is the best shot not because of where he is, but because of the upside.
Yeah.
When we look at LaMelo, he's the best passer by far.
By far.
He has the best court visibility by far. And he has the height that we need right now in the NBA. The only thing I think we have a problem with LaMelo is he's not a shooter, standstill shooter where you just pass the ball and he just shoots.
Exactly.
He seems to shoot only off the dribble.
Exactly.
And I think the way to rectify it is the coach is going to be the critical point to all the development of all these guys. We got to get a guy that's doing player development. I love Thibs. I love Jeff Van Gundy, but neither one of them, in my opinion, are player developers. They don't have the patience.
That's what I think. That was my main concern.
You know what I'm saying?
That's my main concern, especially Van Gundy, because I prefer him over Thibs. But I'm just like, he's never been in that position before. You know, will he have the patience?
He's never been in that position before. He's a great coach. They're both great coaches, and Jeff is probably the front liner for me because it seems to me like when you look at Thibs has a history of driving his ball players, and they always wind up getting injuries because he over-practices when he does over-development.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good coaches like that they wear down their players because of their practicing techniques and all that kind of stuff. But neither one of them, I believe, have any experience with the young player development. So I think, I like the caller said, I think we need to throw the boat at Jay Wright. I think we should throw everything at Jay Wright.
Interesting.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Leroy, appreciate the call, man. Appreciate the call, man. That Billy Donovan.
Thanks, Chief, all these years. Hey, hang in there.
Yeah, that was a gem, man. That was a gem. So wait, you grew up in Long Island? Or where in New York did you grow up?
I grew up in Long Island. Growing up in Long Island, I got a lot to say because, first of all, Steve Mills' father was my principal, was my coach in high school.
Okay, in Hempstead. You went to Hempstead?
And I went to Hempstead High School.
There you go.
And his father, his uncle Charlie Mills, was my principal. So Steve's father. But I have to be honest. Steve was the worst thing from New York, and I hate to say it.
It's tough. I mean, as a Long Island, I hate to say it too, man. I hate to say it too, man.
I gotta be honest. You know, I grew up with him, his brother Doug. But he was worse, and the reason why he was worse because he was not a leader. He's a manager. He's a manager. He's the kind of guy you bring in underneath leadership to manage finances and manage contracts. But he's not the guy to pick out talent or human resources, to pick out the proper people. That really wasn't his thing. He was trying to make himself the everything guy, and that makes him a bad leader. Bad leader.
I hear that.
So I think that's why. Yeah, if you take a look at him, who did he ever bring in? Yeah. I'm not even talking about on the basketball court. Who did he bring in administration that had an impact on the Knicks? Forget about the court for a minute.
Yeah, it was lousy, man.
Did he bring in anybody in administration that helped the Knicks? Nope.
He's lousy.
Nope.
Absolutely, man.
So he was terrible.
One last question, Leroy. Did you know? Did you know Chuck and Beaver Smith back in them days?
Oh, wait a minute. If my brother would have seen that, you know I do the Beaver Smith for the crew. They were legends. They were legends.
We got to talk offline, man. I'm gonna call you. Hold on. Let me save your number. Dave, just do me a favor and save Leroy's number. Leroy, I'm gonna call you back, man, down the road, man. We got to catch up, man. We definitely got to catch up.
Okay, Chief. Thanks, man. Hey, you be blessed, man. You're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job, man.
Doubt, man.
I'm gonna tell you how important you are. Because with all the negativity that's against the Knicks and a lot of hatred, you're one of the key entities that are giving the fans an opportunity who love the Knicks an opportunity to talk, man. Appreciate what you do, man.
Appreciate it, Leroy.
And call me when you need. Call me when you get a chance.
Absolutely, bro. Good talking to you, man. Good talking to you. Shout out to Leroy. It's a good call, man. I mean, Leroy hit it all on the head, but we got to worry about development. Get the house in order, man. Get that house in order. And that's what I hope. Whenever this Leon Rose press conference is coming in, that's what I hope the message is going to be. Development. Get the house in order first. Then when we have everything ready to roll, then you use your connections and maybe you try to sway a Devin Booker trade in 3 years. Or maybe you try to sway a Karl Anthony Towns trades into it. Whatever, maybe you want to get Embiid down the road. Focus on that down the road. Right now, get the house in order. We have all these assets that we're dealing with. Right? They said the priorities are going to be a point guard and a shooting guard. Absolutely agree. Get those two things prioritized in the draft. We have 3 picks in this draft. 3 picks in this draft. Get those things prioritized. And then let's go. Let's go. So Leroy likes LaMelo. Leroy likes LaMelo. Let's see. Well, what do you guys think about it? I'll leave a comment in the chat. CP the artist says we need an ATL Knicks fan meetup. I 100% agree. I know we will definitely have a lot of people out there, so that'll be on the agenda for next year. We're definitely gonna organize the ATL link up. So I think that's a great idea. Salute to Bad Book 1, sent us a super chat. He says salute to the chat, CP in the chat. All the Knicks fans, loves Thibs. Remember, he was a Bulls fan. Loves Thibs. But I don't think he would fit the Knicks. Important days coming for the Knicks. Okay. I kind of agree too, because like I said, and like Leroy said, I'm not sure if Thibs would have the patience for this. I don't know if the kids would respond to him like his previous teams and all the vets did. I just think it's a different day and age. And these players have a lot more power, and I think they will tune you out in a second. So that's that with that. I could take a couple more calls if you guys want to call in. If not, we'll get ready for Knicks and Pacers on Friday night. JLs will be back, CP and JLs. And then remember, Sunday. It's going to be Sunday afternoon, probably around 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, I'll schedule it accordingly. We're going to have Spencer Perlman, NBA scout, works for the Stepien. Did a lot of solid breakdowns on a lot of these draft prospects. So we're going to talk to him about these players' strengths, weaknesses, how they may fit with the Knicks, how they fit with RJ, all those important things, and take your questions. So that'll be Sunday afternoon. Definitely looking forward to it. And yeah, man, good to be back. So let's salute some more people in the chat. Hauler24 says, why not just keep Mike Miller? He deserves a chance to do a full season and an off season to have his say. I agree. I think Miller should get that chance, but the thing is that in sports, period, whenever you have a new regime, most of the time they look to bring in their own coach. That's just how it works. The president or the GM, they typically like to come on and choose their own new guy, their whole staff, including the coach. So we'll see. They don't have any familiarity, Miller and Rose. They don't have any familiarity with each other. So unless it's like a recommendation from Van Gundy or maybe a recommendation from Dolan or Perry or so on, I'm not so sure. And so again, that once again ties into the lineup in terms of, is Miller really caring as much about development as he is wins to get that resume up, to show the next regime or a team that could be watching, looking for a coach on the staff, that he can win, that he can get wins. So again, all interesting things to consider. Joel Johnson says, why so much delay with Leon Rose? I have no idea at this point. You know, I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you a concrete answer. Let's go to Bama. Julius is in here. Julius, you're going to be the closer tonight, man. How you feeling, man?
Hey, I'm fine, man. How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on? How does a Knicks fan end up in Alabama, man? You got to answer that question first, man.
Well, I became a Knicks fan when Patrick Ewing hit that shot in the Christmas game in about '86.
Okay.
It was hard to watch the Knicks because, you know, I'm down here. But as far as Knicks, I think the thing that somebody need to convince James Dolan to, I mean, he's trying to hold back, but as far as development people, he always wants home runs and things. He wants free agents. Knicks need to draft superstars. And they got plenty of draft picks right now, but it just don't have the right coach. Ed, I don't know if they're going to be able to find it, but I hear you talk about Thibs or Van Gundy, Charles Gibson, Derrick Rose. They was all basically Joakim Noah. Somebody had developed them. Thibs was their end. We think of them just being veterans. Somebody, even though he ran them to the ground, They did win when they was young. So maybe he can, but I don't know. Jeff Van Gundy, who else he developed? Jamin. I mean, but we know what he can do though. But if someone can develop those young players they have now, I didn't hear you say anything about Frank. Does Frank need to go? He just need to hit a jumper, and he needs to understand when he need to take it to the hole. You can't be. He says he don't have to play real basketball, but the Knicks don't play real basketball, so he looks confused on the court the whole game. So maybe you need to go to a real team somewhere.
I'm a Frank guy, man. I'm a Frank guy, and I agree with you. He's got to work on his jumper a little bit, and yes, he still has confidence issues. Again, what is the right system for him? Is he a guy? I think the thing with Frank is that the question is, yes, he's a good defender, but when he's struggling on the other side, is his defense really helping you that much? When overall they're just not a solid defensive team. I'm just not sure if his contributions are present on this team when they're just struggling in so many other facets.
Well, Atlanta. I mean, Frank, he's on the court. His plus minus is better, but he don't really score. I mean, so he's doing something right, but he comes up the court, he passes the ball to someone else. Whereas if he was on a real team, he would know he would be more like Alfred Payton. But he doesn't. Nobody telling him to be that way, and he just look bad on the court. And he needs a real coach. Or somebody, he needs a real coach, man. And somebody just gonna tell him what to do.
So who's the coach you want?
He doesn't need to be that.
Who's the coach you want? Because it seems like you're not really confident in Mike Miller.
I mean, he doesn't have no confidence in Frank. He's way better than Fizdale, but if it's not a college coach, I don't see no one who can develop someone that's assistant unless you find a good assistant from the San Antonio Spurs or something about it like that. But other than that, he I don't know. He still plays like he in Europe, and the NBA is nowhere near like organized basketball.
Sound like you want Avery Johnson in here, man. You talking about college and Spurs and coming from Alabama. Sound like you want Avery Johnson in here.
No, I'm talking about somebody Pop got on the bench right now. Not Avery, no.
I hear you, man. Appreciate the call. Well, listen, you got Becky Hammond there, right? Let's see if Leon Rose wants to make a splash in that regard. Like I said, I don't see Pop ever letting her leave, and especially to come to the Knicks. You can cancel that. But good show, man. Good show. Salute to everybody that tuned in. It was good to be back. Wipe the dust off the studio. Come back in strong. It was a great break. Great All-Star weekend and everything. And we'll be back. Friday night Knicks versus Pacers. You know where to come back to after the game. Where we're taking live phone calls, highlights, analysis, everything. People in the chat going at it, debating and everything. Listen, man, there's only one show where you get all of this in one. You're only getting all this in one, right? Everybody's showing the fans or talking to the fans, but who's listening to the fans? It's right here, KnicksFanTV, #1 show for the fans, by the fans. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys before you leave. Subscribe to the channel. Remember that this show is available on all major podcast platforms. Very important. If you're on the go, salute to everybody driving right now, all the truck drivers, everybody at work. If you're on the road, you can't watch YouTube, listen to it on Spotify, listen to it on iTunes. Leave us a review on iTunes if you can. Very important. And so you'll never miss anything. You'll never miss anything. We are everywhere that you are, and that's what we do for the fans. So once again, all we ask in return is like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. We're on the road to 20,000. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell. It's all free, and you won't miss the next show. And sharing these videos, very important. Text a friend. Share this on Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Wherever you can share it. Share it and let the world know this is #1 show for the fans, by the fans. So once again, salute Jack Peters. Kaiser Sose, appreciate it. He says join the Discord. We got a Discord group also. Knicks Prime as well. What's going on? Triborough Gigolo, I appreciate it. Shamel Gaspy, I appreciate it. Bad Book 1, thanks for the super chat as well. Michael Parker, thanks for the super chat. Everybody that called in. And yeah, man, see you guys Friday night. Knicks versus Pacers. See you guys, man. Peace.